Thank you, Tom, for that report. We are 1 week away from March Madness kicking off, and as you get your brackets ready, there's a new push to compensate student athletes.
A North Carolina lawmaker wants to change the tax code so that student athletes can be paid when their image is used. But the debate over paying players certainly is not new. Denver 7's Megan Lopez goes 360 tonight.
There's something special about college sports. Something about watching young, talented players give everything they have to the game they love. It's that dedication that causes millions of fans to tailgate, attend games, or tune in. But with college sports generating more revenue than ever, is it time to pay players? So let's go 360. Some sports experts say student athletes deserve a salary. Others think players are already being compensated. But opponents believe this could have negative effects on schools. And tax experts say this could be a complicated change. First, some context. There's a lot of money at stake in college sports. In 2017 alone, the NCAA raked in $1.1 billion in revenue. Schools are also making big bucks. The Big Ten make a combined $1.7 billion in revenue on any given year. And television stations airing the games are also cashing in. The 2018 March Madness tournament brought in nearly $1.29 billion in ad revenue.
I played college football at the University of Colorado way back in the glory days.
Congratulations to the Colorado Buffaloes.
Former NFL player Chad Brown says that needs to change.
Not to be compensated for what you bring to that school is unfair.
And he believes there's plenty of money to go around.
It's too easy.
It seems to now to be a point where there's enough money coming in from television revenue and tournaments revenue that they can find a way to pay the players.
Brown says athletes don't have time to get jobs or
just to live the normal college lifestyle, be able to order a pizza on a Sunday afternoon, those kind of things.
And being paid to play would help that. But it could also radically change the game.
What we'll end up having is probably a couple of levels of conferences. There'll be a super conference of the best schools in a particular sport where they pay their players the most.
CU Boulder professor Roger Pilkey, meanwhile, says there's already an imbalance.
Realize there's tremendous inequities already in the system.
Since some schools have better offers than others.
In 1956, the NCAA created the athletic scholarship.
And players are already being compensated.
This is really a labor negotiation.
He believes that giving them salaries might just be the next logical step in a sports system that's constantly changing.
The real question is, what should the cut be for college athletes? And then how do you distribute that equitably across sports?
However, one former Division I basketball star,
I played at the University of Northern Colorado,
says paying players is a bad idea. Cody McDavis wrote a New York Times op-ed saying it would fundamentally change players' focus.
I would focus less on my academics and more on athletics.
Which he believes is wrong, since the reality is most student athletes don't go on to become professionals.
Eventually, that ball is going to stop bouncing.
He's also worried about what paying basketball and football players would mean for other non-profitable sports, and whether some could be cut.
Student athletes that are working just as hard, have dedicated their lives to it, will not have an opportunity to go play.
While DU professor Brian Garrity,
your body is your meal ticket,
says athletes are already at a disadvantage.
And they're missing classes. They're often forced or funneled into lesser degree majors, fake classes.
So the free education they're getting isn't really setting them up for future success.
They come out with something that they're not interested in.
But it might take a radical move for something to change.
If the athletes ever do unite, if the athletes ever decide we're not going to take the field in one of these BCS $1 billion bowl games or the NCAA basketball tournament, that'll be a tipping point.
I've been with Grant Thornton 25 years.
And here's something else to consider. Paying players could not only affect March Madness brackets, but also tax brackets.
Athletic scholarships are generally tax exempt.
But Lori Davis says paying athletes could be complicated. Not only would they owe state and federal taxes, but
if they went and played a football game in another state, that state could potentially impose an income tax on them.
So players could have to file taxes in every state they play a game, depending on its non-resident rules. And that could affect where the games are played or which schools student athletes choose to attend.
The Texas and Florida schools who don't have an income tax rate, they could potentially benefit from a recruiting standpoint.
That's right, baby! So could Colorado, where state income taxes are low.
So many different state ramifications for this.
The debate over whether student athletes should be paid is certainly not new. The question of how it would work is even more complex. And who will ultimately win this bracket challenge is still a big question. Megan Lopez, Denver 7.